Nottingham Forest have increased the asking price on Johnson from 50 to 60 million. But is he really for sale, or is this just a deployment of a scaremongering tactic? Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. In today's video, we're going to be talking about these new demands on Jono. 60 million is the talk. We've got a new striker linked who was linked a couple of days ago, but we've had a day off in Iheanacho. I don't know how I feel about that one. We'll get into that discussion. And plenty more to talk about, and it looks like Hendo may be getting a little bit closer. Before we do all that, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and go grab the signed frame. Look at the frame on this. It has a TV built into it where you can put any pictures on there you want, as well as a signed frame Forest shirt, so make sure you grab that. On top of that, guys, how are you dealing with the crisis that is energy bills right now? I've made a switch onto Octopus, and this isn't sponsored or anything. This is just me telling you guys, and I'm on something called an agile tariff. What that means is they give you different rates for every half hour as you go throughout the day, and they tell you about it 24 hours in advance. So for example, right now I'm paying 4p an hour in this half an hour. It can go up to about 35, sometimes 39p, but versus the likes of British Gas, whose standard prices are around 38 pence, day in, day out, hour in, hour out. It's a huge saving. So we've got the washing machine on right now, for example, getting all those loads done. I've put my referral link in the description, and if you sign up to it, it gives you 50 quid and me 50 quid as well, credit with Octopus. Like I said, this isn't a sponsored ad, but it's something I found extremely useful. And once you switch over to Octopus, they'll put you on the standard tariff. And then all you have to do is switch over to the agile tariff, but you do need a smart meter. So if you've got a smart meter, click on the link and go and save yourself some money and earn an extra 50 quid in the process. All right, let's get on with the news and let's talk about Brennan Johnson. So as I've mentioned to you over the last week or so, it's gone a little quiet around Brennan Johnson, and I did expect this to start ramping up as they came back from the international breaks. And lo and behold, they couldn't even get to the working day before it all starts again. And it's those same clubs, it's Brentford and Aston Villa, who are both very interested in Jono. Look, Brentford I'm not too worried about, to be honest. They're a bit of a plastic club. But Aston Villa do have some rich owners and do have Emre, who's a very progressive manager, and he potentially could be looking and very keen on Brennan Johnson. Now, Forest is saying, or the rumours, should I say, are saying that Forest have now said 60 million or go away. We don't even want to talk to you. And I have no problems with that at all. He is, in my opinion, probably worth about 50 to 60 million pounds, but with the potential to go even higher if he continues to progress in the way he has done before. But is it the right time to sell him? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I still do honestly feel another season with Nottingham Forest would do him the world of good. But if I'm looking at this objectively and taking off my Forest cap, would he get a run in the Villa team? Yes, I think he would jump straight into that team without many problems. Bailey isn't exactly the greatest player they have on the right-hand side, and you could see that Emery would definitely want to strengthen, seeing as Villa now have European football as well. So for me, it does logically make sense that they would be interested in him. But Forest do need to hold on to that prize asset if they can. However, with finances tightening, with FFP and making sure that the hierarchy are planning correctly for all of this down the road, because as much as we are fans, we've got to remember that Forest is a business, and a business needs money to run. It needs incomings and outcomings, and the incomings need to get tasty every now and again. And this would absolutely blow our record transfer sale out of the window if this were to happen. So we've got to understand it from both points of view. I think, look, for me, I say let the club run this one out with Jono. If Jono maybe wants to leave, I don't think he does, but if he did want to leave, then he has, my support and his blessings, and I hope he does everything that his heart desires going forward. But if he would like to stay and offer us another season or two, I'd be more than thankful. because he has been instrumental in not only Forest getting promoted, but in some of the key goals last season. Now, I've heard loads of people say all this crap about, oh, if it wasn't for Jono, we wouldn't have survived. You could cancel out the points and would be down, etc. I don't really buy into that, because you can make the argument for about 4 or 5 other players. You could argue Taiwo's goals are what kept us up. You could argue Felipe coming in at the back. You could argue the Navas saves or the Henderson saves against West Ham. So for me, that's a bit of a circular argument. And he's part of the program, if you like, that did keep us up. So I don't buy into that argument. But what I do buy into is that this is going to continue throughout the summer. There's only 2 ways that this can be quashed. As I've mentioned before, Jono comes out and he says he's happy to stay at Forest. Or the hierarchy, the Greek father, etc., turn around and say, not even 60 million. He's just not for sale, full stop. But we'll keep an eye on this one. It is a little worrying. No longer am I joking around about it, because I do feel there's maybe a 5 to 10% chance that he could go, but hopefully that's not the case. Get your thoughts in on this Jono story. It's going to rumble on all summer. I can't see it not. But let's move on and talk about a striker that is linked, one that I have mixed feelings about. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the striker that's actually linked with coming into Nottingham Forest, and that is 26-year-old Iheanacho from relegated Leicester City. Now, this one's an interesting one, because when I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, really? Couldn't cut it at Leicester, didn't really score many goals for them in 28 Premier League appearances. He scored 5 times. Daka gets ahead of him. Grandad Vardy gets ahead of him. You know, he's not really up there pecking order. So would he be good enough for Nottingham Forest? But then you sit down and you break it down. And I won't lie to you guys, I crossed that picket line and I got on the blower to Chappie. And we had a bit of a chat about him. And honestly, he gives him glowing ratings, saying that it was Brennan Rodgers that screwed him over by not playing him a lot last season. It was Brennan Rodgers that scarpered his progression. I mean, you can tell Chappie really does love Brennan Rodgers. But when you look at it, those 28 appearances weren't all starters. A lot of them were bench appearances. And he is good at finishing in the box. He is quite prolific. He does convert well the chances. Is he good enough for Nottingham Forest? I've been brought around to this one. I can see him working, and on top of that, he is great friends with Awoniyi when they go away on Nigerian duties, etc. So there is a good bond there currently. The problem is, does he get in ahead of Awoniyi? And for me at the moment, on current form, there's no debate. Awoniyi is still the player. But is Cooper looking to maybe put 2 strikers on the field? He has talked about last season, as we've mentioned many times before. He doesn't like the play style. He wants to be more progressive, more attacking. Is this a sign potentially of how he wants to go about going forward and putting 2 up front rather than 1 and demanding more flowing and aggressive and attacking football? Who knows? But it could be a good indicator. Look, for about 16 to 20 million, he's not that expensive in terms of this modern day and age charge for a striker. But is he the ideal person to come in? Now, if Cooper was going to stick with 1 up front, is Iheanacho going to be interested to come to Forest to warm a bench from the Blues over to the Reds? You would say probably, just because it's an upgrade on Championship. And also, not many other teams are sniffing around for him currently. No doubt come tomorrow, West Ham will be linked with him. It wouldn't surprise me at all. If you're a betting man, get some money on that. But currently it's only Forest sniffing around. But the rumours are that Forest are very serious about this deal and are very interested in Iheanacho. Profile-wise, I think he does work. How he fits in, I think, is the real question. Now, competition for places is something I'm always very keen about. But I wouldn't put him a million miles behind Awoniyi, and I definitely wouldn't put him ahead of him. So I still feel Forest need that extra bit of juice, kind of someone who is on at least par with Awoniyi or better, who can challenge for that number 9 shirt. But what do you guys think? I'm coming around to this one, but I still need some convincing, is probably my honest opinion. I know a lot of other Leicester fans rate him as well. They speak very highly of him. They all seem to be in agreement that he's better than the likes of Daka and obviously younger than Jamie Vardy. So let's see how this one develops. I'm on the fence on it at the moment. If it happened, I'd be okay with it. If not, I'm sure the Greek father is looking at better names for us. But get your thoughts in on Iheanacho down in the comments below. Okay, before we move on to talk about the next story, just a quick reminder that we will be doing a live stream tonight from 8 p.m. where we'll be discussing everything Nottingham Forest. I do love our live streams as we get to interact with you guys in the chat. And man, have you guys been feisty lately. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be at 8 p.m. tonight. Looking forward to getting your guys' opinions and the rest of the boys' opinions as well. And there may be an old special guest coming on tonight. You'll have to wait and see for that one. Okay, let's move on to the next story. And this story is about Dean Henderson and De Gea. You can't detach these two from one another. Each of their futures is so entangled with the other that it's getting boring. But let's do this anyway, and this is why we've left it towards the second half of the video. Rumours now are that De Gea is probably going to be staying at Manchester United. Manchester United are currently looking to up his contract offer on his weekly wages to get him north of 200k a week. 200k for that player. Anyway, and that may be enough to convince him to stay. Either way, it seems clear that Manchester United have suddenly decided to start pulling their finger out and start to prioritize making a decision on what they're doing with the goalkeeper. There's been rumours flying out all weekend about maybe even Dean Henderson being given the gloves again, but that doesn't seem to be going down well with their plastic fan base. So overall, how things stand currently is that if they offer him an increase in wages, if he accepts, then Dean Henderson will be allowed to leave. And this deal could get done a lot quicker. Now, bear in mind, we've told you all week that Forest have been linked with numerous keepers. We're talking like 3 or 4 other keepers now on top of Dean Henderson. So it still doesn't ring that Forest are very, very feeling secure about this whole deal going through. But we will have to watch this space and wait and see on what happens. Now, if De Gea does sign, I can see the Hendo deal flowing through quite quickly after that. Remember, personal terms of Forest are pretty much all done and dusted. The fee still being negotiated with Manchester United. We're still looking at in and around the 20 million, maybe 25 with add-ons. It just depends how much Man U are going to try and hardball us. But if he doesn't stay in terms of De Gea, the Manchester United will need to look to recruit. There's talks they're looking at Onana as one of their options from Inter. And that in itself would delay the whole process because Manchester United are terrible at selling, but even slower at buying. And Onana, who would be in the infancy stage of the transfer negotiations, we could be looking at another few weeks at least before Dean Henderson would be allowed to be released from United. So it's all still very much up in the air. But we'll keep you posted with all the transfer details on this as they progress over the next, hopefully, days and not weeks. So watch this space. Okay, so those are the main stories breaking on Nottingham Forest. Get all your thoughts in there. I'm really keen to hear what you have to say about Iheanacho in particular, because we've already spoken about Jono and Hendo plenty on the channel before. And don't forget, tonight at 8 p.m, we'll have a Grumpy Old Reds live stream where we'll get under the skin of all the transfer news, all the comings and all the goings from Nottingham Forest. If you've made it this far into the video and you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And make sure, go save yourself some money like I've done with Octopus. The link's in the description. We'll see you tonight at 8, and come on, you Reds.